Who's that? It's McMahon, like Ed McMahon,
okay.
Jim McMahon.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm originally from Boston, so it's it's a pretty common name back there.
Oh, okay.
So welcome. I appreciate you guys inviting me out here this month, and I appreciate the endorsement that you gave me. I think it was last month, right?
Yeah, last month.
I do appreciate that. I'm honored by it. So my name is Mike McMahon. Who I am a father of two. I'm a friend. I'm a partner. I'm a co-parent. I'm a 14-year veteran of the Los Angeles Police Department. What I am not, however, I am not a politician. Okay.
Good.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Sounds good, right?
Okay. Took me by surprise for a second. So like I said, I'm a 14-year veteran of the Los Angeles Police Department. I am currently assigned to home without pay because November 3rd of last year, I was brought into my captain's office and I was presented with a piece of paper. That August of 2021, the city of Los Angeles came down with their COVID mandate, 187-134, that stated if you're going to be employed by the city of Los Angeles, you will get the shot. So, November 3rd, I was called into my captain's office. I was presented with a piece of paper that said, look, you're going to allow us to deduct $600 from your paycheck per month for PCR testing, or you're going to be moved to termination. I was given a 48-hour notice to think about it, and 2 days later, the hardest day of my life to date was turning in my gun and my badge and having my police power suspended.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Since that day, however, I've been honored. I've spoken in front of tens of thousands of people. I started a medical freedom advocacy group. I'm actually the co-founder of a medical freedom advocacy group called Roll Call for Freedom. It's made up of Los Angeles police officers and City of Los Angeles employees. And what we are is we're not pro-vaccine, we're not anti-vaccine, we're anti-mandate. Where there is risk, there must be choice, and that is what we advocate for.
What's it called?
Roll Call for Freedom, ma'am. ROLLCALL, the number 4, freedom. So since that day, I've been organizing rallies and speaking in front of thousands of people to get the message across. The important. Yes, sir.
What was your rank?
I'm just a police officer.
No, were you a sergeant or
Just a police officer. Yeah, I'm what's called a P2. Okay, so I'm the guy that responds to the calls and grabs into the black and white. But the last 2+ years has been such a learning experience for me. I never wanted to be here. I never wanted to be in the limelight. What drove me to run for office is that when God gives you a dream, that dream will always be tested, right? And for me, my dream was to become a police officer, which I did, and a father. And so every day I seek to be the kind of man that my children will look up to in 10, 15, 20 years. A kind of man that when they look back on this time, my father did everything that he could for me, while he could, when he could. And that's what's most important to me. Hey, sir, how are you? So very recently I was invited to attend a sermon at the Calvary Chapel with Jack Hibbs. And so maybe you heard it. It was not this past week, but the week before. And at certain times in your life, God sort of tends to speak to you. But at certain times of your life, God tends to speak to you. He sends a message, right? And if you're ready to hear it, you will. There's been a couple of times on this journey where I've heard a message, this being one of them. And Pastor Hibbs had brought up the book of Romans, chapter 5, verses 1 through 5, and it spoke about tribulations. And I've been through nothing but tribulations over the last 2 years. And in it speaks about tribulations, they produce perseverance, right? And through perseverance, I think it was patience. And through patience, it develops hope.
Right.
And hope is never lost. And to me, that's what I've been holding on to, because I never wanted to be here, like I said. But I'm here because I'm a man taking a stand so that I can leave a country for my children where they'll still be able to. I'm not I'm not in any shape or form a politician. What I am is a father, and forgive my language, but I'm a pissed off dad, right? I've seen what they're doing in Sacramento. I've seen what they're doing to the family dynamic. I know that they're coming after our children, and that is the thing that drives me, right? It really drives me. And the Scott Wieners, the Richard Pans, the Akilah Webers, the Evan Lowe's, it seems that the LGBTQ plus caucus up there is pushing through what we're looking at is about 15 of these bad bills.
Really? No, it's one after the other.
One after the other, sequentially.
Never ending.
Right. And so, I said to myself in early March, because I've been on trial with the LAPD. I have to go through a tribunal in order to fight for my job. And so I've been through 5 days so far, since December 6th. I've testified on my own behalf with regards to the vaccines and the reasons why I chose not to do it. But in March, I think it was March 7th, I finally said to myself, I've got to do something else. Because winners don't have a plan B, right? Winners don't have plan Bs. We just go on. You either win or you die trying. And there's no other way around it for me. I will never quit and I will never stop.
Good.
Right? Just because my journey might end as a police officer, my journey as a dad is for the rest of my life. And these are the hearts that I'm fighting for. So, not to go too long-winded, but I was sitting there thinking, well, what are my principles? And I've already said, for the most part, I am pro-family, right? I'm pro-life. I do not co-parent with the government, right? I don't share custody with the government.
Yes.
The government does not raise my children.
That's right.
What I am, right, in this battle, I refuse to be the good guy. What I choose to be is a great man and a savage servant. I'm raising warriors for the next battle ahead of us.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Yes.
And so that's important to me because I'm trying to protect the sanctity of our family, right? And naturally, for what I've done previously, I'm obviously against any sort of mandate. I'm against masking. I'm against digital IDs and passports. I'm against anything that restricts the free movement of the sovereign person in society.
Yes.
And then lastly, I'm all about accountability. As a police officer, it's incumbent upon me to assume responsibility, to dole out responsibility. I am the unpaid check at the end of dinner, right? You have to deal with me. And for too long, these politicians in Sacramento, number one, most of them are childless. They have no idea what it's like to be a father or a mother in this situation. And they're making these laws, they're presenting these bills that have nothing to do with them. They have no experience whatsoever. And if you think they're actually writing these bills, you're mistaken. But the person, I'm up there to hold the fire to the feet of the senators and the representatives that are in both houses, because there has to be a consequence for your actions. Where else in the world can you find someone who consistently makes mistakes and then doesn't have to pay the price for it, right? This great group of people that we have running in 2022 are the most hardcore America First patriots that I've run into. Leo, you're included in there. We've got a great group of people, myself, law enforcement. Law enforcement is stepping up in 2022.
Good.
That I know of, I know 6 friends that are running, that are police officers.
Wow.
Right? Because we 14 years ago, I raised my right hand and I swore an oath to the Constitution of the United States, and I swore an oath to the Constitution of California. What I did not swear an oath to was the City of Los Angeles, the LAPD, or its police commission, right? I'm the man that is going to stand in the gap, and I will uphold my oath. Because even if I'm not allowed to be a police officer anymore, I will always be a sheepdog. I will always be a person that protects other people. And for the last 14 years, I have given a voice to the voiceless. Throughout my career, every arrest that I've made, I've been fortunate to work a lot of different things. One of the most rewarding that I've worked is child abuse. For me, putting monsters in jail, giving, again, a voice to the voiceless is something that's incredibly important to me. And I'll take that same sort of fervor up to Sacramento with me God willing, if I'm allowed to go forward there. My opponent, Chris Holden, I think you ladies know about him. Very ultra progressive. A little bit of research.
He's a socialist.
That's correct.
He's constantly being removed.
Constantly.
Yeah, reelected. Just hold
Just about 2 weeks ago, he passed through his committee Assembly Bill 2223, which is Buffy Wicks. Yes.
Oh.
So that's Buffy Wicks infanticide bill, right? That allows for essentially the killing of an upwards of 30-day-old child without the investigation of police. It forbids the police to investigate that death. You know, we have to start voting with our values. No longer is it a Democrat versus Republican. That's right. Right? It's good versus evil. That's what we are. We're losing our country by leaps and bounds, and every stroke of the pen of this progressive movement is constantly stripping away our civil liberties, our rights as natural people. So I'm up there to make a fuss. I'll stand up there. I'll stand up to them because guess what? I've stood up to some of the biggest names out there right now. The City of Los Angeles, the LAPD. I have a federal lawsuit against the City of Los Angeles on behalf of Roll Call for Freedom.
Good.
Right? Because if I win, if this group wins, everyone wins. Right? And so I want to bring that fervor up to Sacramento. And with your help, and ladies, I know you're in my district, you know, I only need basically one write-in vote. Because right now, I'm the only person who stepped up to the plate to run against Chris Holden. So, if
you make it to November.
I will.
to get it there.
As long as my vote for myself counts, I'll move on to the general election. But that's where the hard part comes in, because I need people out there. I need boots on the ground. I need donations. Unfortunately, I have to ask for donations, and it's always a very uncomfortable thing when you're a man who has never had to ask for much. But this is what I need from the Pasadena area, because this is his home city. This is his, this is his metropolis, right?
He's after his father.
That's what I understand. That's what I hear. Not a very good guy either.
No,
Right? That's what I hear. So it's time for Chris Holden to go, right?
All of them. Man, be so low.
You know,
This is a council, actually a council,
That's what I heard.
probably 10 years.
but for too long, and I'll wrap up after this. For too long, conservatives in the state of California, and actually nationwide, they've turned their backs and they're faced in towards each other. Because what's the most important thing to a conservative? God and guns, right? And they keep it close to the heart. They turn in and they face each other, and you know, they're basically talking into an echo chamber. But what's happened while our backs have been turned inward? We've got this vine of progressivism that's taking over our country. Now people are leaving this. People are like a cancer. People are leaving the state in leaps and bounds. You can't get a truck to get out of here, right? But the good people that choose to stay, see, I could write my ticket anywhere. I could go anywhere in the country and be another police officer with 14 years of experience from the LAPD. But I choose to stay because this is the fight. This is the fight that we have to stay. Because if we lose, it's going to envelop the entire country. And I say it without hesitation. The 2022 election is the most important election in the history of this country. Because where California goes, so does the United States. And we all know that.
That's right.
Right? So if we keep fleeing, right? If we keep fleeing to other parts of the country, oh, Florida sounds great. Tennessee sounds great. Idaho sounds great. You know what? They do, and they are. But if we retreat, if we give up even more ground, it's just going to follow us. And then what's going to happen? It's going to back us into a corner, and it's going to force us to fight. So why not now? Because all it's going to do, if we keep running, it's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger, right? And we're going to be too spread out, right? So I say, stay and fight, and I choose to stay and fight. And I am the man that, you know, I like this Bible quote as well. A man doesn't light a candle and stick it under a bushel. He lights a candle and puts it on a candlestick. Why? To illuminate the room, to show everyone, right? To be that flame that casts out the darkness, right? And shows the light to everyone else. I look to be the salt and the light for this country, for this seat.
Amen.
Preserve our republic and shine a light on darkness. And I can't do it without your help. So I appreciate you being here. I love you all. I hope you feel the passion that I have because I have two beautiful souls at home that depend on me. I'm giving up an entire career, possibly, to do this. But it's the right thing to do. It's the right time in history. And I will be on the right side of it.
Thank you, Michael.
A couple of questions. You 5 to 6 questions. Go ahead.
Can you?
Ladies first, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Are you also out to be with?
Yes, ma'am. I am.
Oh, good.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Can you explain how the whiting worked?
The write-in.
The whiting.
Oh, the writing.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. So, when I decided to run, there were 4 days left for me to run.
Can we order dinner?
Yes.
So I went down to the registrar's office and I walked my city. I got all my signatures by myself. And as it turns out, I was operating off of a 2020 map, and I couldn't find the new ones. I didn't know anything about the we draw the lines and all this other stuff, and the ink hadn't even dried on the new districts. But when I turned in my signatures, they called me. Oh, they sent me an email on a Saturday afternoon at 6 o'clock and said, "Hey, we took 24 signatures away from you." So I ended up having 35 signatures, missing the ballot by 5. Now I went down and I argued for 3 hours at the registrar's office. I forced them to bring out their rules, and they double checked it. But unfortunately, there was nothing I could do. If it was important enough for me to run in the first place, running as a writing candidate is just as important. I'm fortunate that no one else has registered, but I wouldn't put it past the Democrats to sneak somebody in by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, first
To be quite honest, that's why I'm getting out there. I'm getting my name out there. I'm getting the support. Thank God for the moms of this country because they've really been the loudest voice in this battle for our kids.
And I have a few flyers to illustrate how to do it. if you
So
want.
what Bonnie has in her hand is on your ballots. And mind you, I implore you, do not mail in your ballots. Do not put them in a drop box. Surrender your ballot whole with your envelope at a polling place. Hand it in. Force them to give you a paper ballot because we all, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the voting systems, the voting machines out here in LA City and LA County. We have Dominion, right?
Oh, great.
Owned partially by George Soros, and we have Smartmatic, which is a subsidiary, a subsidiary of of Dominion. So they're very, very prone to being hacked. The 2018 midterms, actually, the system within the city crashed. So I implore you to ask or demand a paper ballot. And speaking of George Soros, some of my research the other night into Chris Holden and who donated to his campaign. Guess who donated to Chris Holden and his campaign? Soros. There you go. George Soros funds through his it's open. I can't think of it right now. It's escaping my mind. Thank you very much. Through his Open Society, he funds. Exactly. But he funds a foundation called the Tides Foundation. The Tides Foundation is very active in the social justice area. The Tides Foundation makes donations to this social justice, which then makes donations to Chris Holden. Chris Holden is also taking money from the pharmaceutical companies, Gilead. So, he's got a lot of money flowing through his campaign, which I can't compete with. But one of the interesting things is that not one John or Jane Q public donation to his campaign that I could find. Not one. It's all corporations maxing themselves out. A lot of the corporations having to do with construction because of the gold line rail that he's championing. But Chris isn't for police. He's a progressive socialist. He wants to defund us and he wants to reimagine us. Can you imagine California without police? Anybody? Look at how bad it is right now. We are handcuffed.
It'll be a
and run by paper tigers. Right? The ACLU, the small groups, the homeless advocacy right groups, they basically control the city and they control which controls the LAPD. We need to, again, from the top down, vote our values. People such as Eric Early, who will take on these bad DAs. We have to ensure election integrity from people such as Rachel Ham.
Is Chris Holden close to being termed out?
This would be his last election.
But
You
there
want
might
it-
not be any more elections after.
There might not be.
I know,
right?
I'm not kidding.
You know, what's a scared rat do? It's gonna bite. Right? You know, I mean, people are so worried about toxic masculinity in our society right now.
Not
right?
all people.
Not all people, but
I mean, we always do that, and it's like I feel like we need to begin to fight that back.
exactly.
We
You
tend to
bet.
say
But-
all
but
this,
the-
all that.
But the statement I was
2%, 3%,
Exactly.
4%. LGBTQ is
You
what? 4%.
right.
Maybe.
But what I'm,
Thank you, darling. Maybe. And
But what I'm
and-
getting at is,
I-
if you're
I
afraid of
understand.
toxic masculinity, wait until you see what a weak man does.
Oh, I'm
Right?
disgusted.
We're
We are.
living
We're
it.
disgusted by that.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're here.
This is, you know,
Yeah, I know.
Send me to Sacramento.
Yeah.
I will be that strong
Yeah.
man. You know?
Makami has a question.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Hi.
Yeah.
Can you tell, for the sake of the people online, the districts of the cities of District 41?
There's a lot.
And two-part question. First, what are the cities? Second part is it different from the current incumbents, District 41?
Well, it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been redistricted via we draw the lines ca.org. You know, there's a ton of gerrymandering. You know, I would still be representing about 475,000 constituents, but the district itself is in the starts in the Altadena, Pasadena area, into little portions of Sierra Madre, and then in Monrovia. But after Monrovia, it goes up into the mountains and continues along the Angeles National Forest until it gets to San Dimas, and out that way continues on into Claremont and Upland, San Antonio Heights, Mount Baldy, all the way out to parts of Rancho Cucamonga along the 210 freeway, and then at Day Creek Boulevard, we shoot all the way north onto the 15, and I cover Scotland and Lido Creek up into Phelan and Oak Hills. It's an expansive district now. I've lost half of Upland, which was why I lost a lot of the signatures. But you know, there's been a ton of gerrymandering. You know, Chris was responsible, or I think he had a good hand in this. He kept it really progressive areas and actually picked up a progressive area in Phelan. So, you know, I've got an uphill battle, and I acknowledge that. But again, I am the man for the challenge, and I'll stand in the gap, and I'll protect I'll honor my oath. So,
One more question.
Right behind you.
Yeah, go ahead. Last question.
Sure.
Mike.
All right. So to be a progressive, actually, don't you have to make progress?
that's a statement.
And second, I mean, if people are asking, the second statement, and I'll ask it to a quick question. If people are asking, how did Hitler and the fascists come to power, we're living it today.
Yes.
It's intimidation, shut people up, prevent free speech, and just go along and cause trouble. That's what's happening.
But it's like Goebbels said, you know, if you tell a lie enough times, it becomes
It
true.
becomes true.
Right?
Exactly. When they're distracted by foreign screens, as we were talking before,
Exactly.
it's even easier to become
Going
sound.
towards communism.
So my question is, what can you have you've been looking a lot into what Sacramento's doing, what's going on in public policy. What would you recommend that we as parents, as people with ethics and morals for freedom, the sovereign person, what can we, is it the school boards?
Yes.
To put a stop, we gotta stop the bleeding
School board.
and attack at the other end in order to make it a bolus, right?
Yeah.
So what would you recommend that we do as individuals and as families to burn the candle for both?
Well, it's a great question, but it's like a peeling back an onion. Because for so long, conservatives, you know, Assembly District 41 is a D+30 district. That means it's been a 30-year stronghold for Democrats. Peeling back the onion, you have to take a look in conservative or Republicans in the state have felt for quite some time that their vote doesn't count, right? But your vote doesn't count if you don't cast it, right? 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 You know, it's like a lie by omission is still a lie, right? So if you're not voting, then you have nothing to complain for. We have to get activated, right? We have to believe. You have to indoctrinate yourself. Like, you know what? this is my vote. This is what I'm doing, and we have to go small. Starts with the school boards. School boards have too much control because they listen to the will of the UTLA and all these other things, right? And they're indoctrinating our kids. What's another option? Take your kids out of school.
Yeah.
Take them out. That money disappears. Money talks, right? When your kids walk. And you know, we have to, if you're able to, run for your city office, right? Try it. There's no shame in losing, right? If you can't see anything if you didn't try. And that's what I'm doing. I'm trying. I really want to make the difference. But
That roll call for Freedom Guide.
We do this individually.
Sorry.
No.
So let's
Yeah. Thank you.